Hello and welcome to TableTalk Friday, a weekly dose of D&D banter between three lads in a bedroom. If you like their style, make sure to follow them on whichever podcast service you prefer and come back every Friday for another upload. Now, back to the boys.
If you're creating a magic item, they break it out by like the maximum spell level that you could possibly cast with a magic item, or the maximum like plus whatever bonus that a magic item should grant. Yeah. And it seems pretty okay. I mean, I don't ever follow this when I'm thinking of magic items. I just sort of think, well, what's kind of good for my player's level and go from there. And if I had to put a rarity on it, I'll base it off of, all right, so uncommon would be +1, or a rare would be +1 with something else. Very rare would be +2, and then legendary would be +3. But what they say in here actually is uncommon would give you a +1, rare could be up to +2, very rare could be up to +3, and then legendary would be up to +4, which I just think is weird because yeah, they have nothing in the DMG, like none of the magic items, at least that I've seen. Maybe one of the like artifacts or something have a +4, but that just seems like a lot. Yeah. Right? And well, specifically for 5e, because I know in older editions they had, you know, weird shit up to like +5, but the game was balanced different. I think it's interesting though that they've got that in there.
I wouldn't even say that a +4 is like busted or anything. It just sounds weird because I'm not used to it. You know?
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm used to like +3 being that's my end game item.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you never even get those. A +4, that's like you got to play 2 campaigns in a row with the same character, and then you get one at the end.
Maybe it's just a +4 though. It doesn't have extra abilities. It's like this is as sharp as I could get it.
Yeah. Well, when we get the Sword of Zariel next session, then it'll be a +4. Great sword, long sword,
and that's it.
Short sword, yeah.
Well, that's it. It's all it is. It's just a +4.
It's just this really old dwarf that's been sharpening this blade for like 20 years of his life.
I got it real sharp for you guys.
But it's only like one really solid hit, and then it goes dull again.
How much is it? 1,000 gold. That's it?
Sounds good to me. I'll buy it.
One attack with +4. Yeah, that's actually a shitty magic item.
You know, speaking of like gold prices for things, Lanky Eric used to make it seem like, you know, one piece of gold could get me through a month of living and stuff. Right. Like, oh yeah, people's salary is, you know, 20 gold for the year. And I no longer hold that belief. When I look at gold, I don't go, I just have to raid one dragon horde and get 100 pieces of gold and I'm good for 5 years. I'm like, no. I think if I raid one dragon horde, I'm going to go spend it in a tavern in one night, and then I can go, now I got to go do it again.
Yeah, no. And I think living expenses are really weird how they outline them too, because I'm pretty sure they had them one way in the DMG, they have them another way in Xanathar's, but like, it's weird what things are priced. Like, for an adventurer, 1 gold is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you consider...
If you want a hand crossbow, it's 75 gold.
Yeah.
That's 3 years of salary.
Mm-hmm. Even in real life, I could buy a hand crossbow for less than 1 year's salary.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess you would have to assume then that the adventuring life is kind of the pinnacle occupation, if you will. Is that just the best you can do in this world?
I mean, I would say you're definitely making the most money on that. Like, I can't think of another thing that would make you more money in a Dungeons & Dragons world.
You'd have to be some sort of crazy merchant,
I guess,
maybe in charge of a town.
Maybe if you run a casino that magically makes people lose.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
You know what? You're going to lose all your money to the adventurers that come in and raid your casino.
They literally walk in, they're like, there's corruption going on here. You guys are cheating. Oh, well, let's just kill everyone.
Mm-hmm. And then take the money.
Not even kings are safe.
No, not even
kings. We'll depose you and steal all your royal treasury.
I mean, I guess dragons make more money by hoarding, but at the same time, that's not really an occupation. You know, you choose to go into adventuring, but, you know, the adventurers are just the freelance guild members, I guess.
Right.
I feel like no matter how you look at gold, it doesn't really make 100% sense. You kind of just have to eyeball it. I kind of eyeball it the same way I do, like, encounters. It's like, yeah, that's probably okay. That's fine. What's the worst that could happen, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, you lose some players. Worst case scenario, TPK.
Well, and honestly, if you learn a little bit of magic, you don't really need that much. What are you going to spend the gold on? Like you don't really need that much except for like some shelter, because you got one ranger friend who knows Goodberry, and you guys are all fed for the day every day.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Study enough, and you can learn how to feed yourself every day.
Yeah, if all the druids in the world just were like, "Hey, let me go feed the poor."
Yeah.
Everyone's good to go.
No hunger problem.
Or you save up your year's salary to buy one magic item that casts Goodberry, and now you don't ever have to eat again. You're done.
Yeah. Well, now I'm thinking that's a good character concept, though.
Right?
It's just like an altruistic druid. Maybe they've got the not charlatan, but like a public figure, maybe folk hero even background.
Yeah.
That would work.
And they just go around and they're like, yeah, it's the helpful guy that feeds everyone all the time.
It's the berry guy. He
Yeah.
just walks around with berries. I'm imagining like
It's Druid Jesus. Eric. Sorry. Druid Jesus Eric.
Yes, please.
I'm
Want to
just
keep that
imagining,
anonymous.
like,
Don't want to dox Jesus
no.
on our podcast. Jeez Louise. I mean, geez, Eric.
Jeez, Eric.
oh my gosh. Oh my god, you could say.
Oh!
Or if you just
Yahweh
like 20.
Eric?
Going into the
How
lore.
dare you dox God?
Does he have a stat block in the player handbook, you think?
I mean, it could be debated. Is there a stat block for gods like Lathander available?
Not that I know of.
Like, I know there's Bahamut and Tiamat stat blocks to go around, but, like, can I get... And all, like, the devil, the demon lords and stuff, and archdevils, we got all kinds of stat blocks for them, but come on, someone give me a good celestial god stat block.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think I've seen one.
How can I write my campaign where we wage war on fucking Lathander and Torm?
Yeah.
Oh,
The
no.
guys putting in the good work in the world.
Ultimate murder hobos. Just start murdering the good gods of the universe.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it could be a fun campaign.
Yeah.
It could be. I feel bad, though.
I mean, you could justify it, too. You could say, like, hey, these guys are keeping all the balance. What if that balance was tipped? Like, hey, I'm tired of there being balance in this universe. Who are they to say that everything should be this way? You know what? What if we tip it one way?
I'll play in that campaign.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll write it.
after Avernus, let's do it. We might find, we could find some celestial gods in Avernus. That's probably where they hang out. Do you think it's like a hot tub for the good gods? Do you think they go down there like kind of, like soak up the
They're all
flames
just
a little
hanging
bit?
out in their Demonic and River Styx
Yeah,
pools.
they could probably resist it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
Probably.
I feel like Avernus is the jacuzzi of the world.
The
That's-
jacuzzi of the plains.
I think it could be done.
Well, now I'm imagining I'm not sure how much you guys know about the elemental chaos and those planes, but like I'm thinking, what about like a mixed plane between fire and water, and it's just a big hot
The
tub.
plane of steam.
Yep. I feel like that's a thing. Don't come at me, but you can email us at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com.
Yeah,
but
good thing to throw that in the beginning of the episode.
right. But I feel like that is one, because there is the plane of lava is where earth and fire meet. So I feel like that would be steam.
Does it have to be? Does it have to be in order, like water, earth, fire, air? Like, does it have to coincide that way? Like
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it would make sense, right? Let's see, fire to air. You got the plane of fucking fire tornadoes. I don't know.
Might be
I don't
electricity, something like that.
Oh yeah,
Like-
plane of
like
electricity.
energy in the air.
See, you mentioned the idea of the fire and water coming together. I like the idea that that's a basis behind like a steampunk city, where there's this weird gap where the two planes exist and combine, so they have this infinite source of steam powering all of their contraptions.
Or
That would be cool.
the spot where water and air meet, it's just the plane of storms. There's just
Yeah.
storms
that'd be cool.
going on all the time. Oh, that would be a cool place to visit.
Heck
I'm
yeah.
into it. I'm into it.
Make some cool hybrid like elementals and stuff that live there.
Yeah. Well, the storm giants definitely rule over that realm, I have to imagine.
But
I
don't.
imagine.
But I think storm giants. Just going off my knowledge of the lore that I have, there's not that much in like their long past. But the giants presided before the humans. And
Right.
then when they went to war with the dragons, then all of a sudden humanity and stuff was born. So I feel like how can there be how can the giants originate from there if they came from the material plane? What happened? Or
I don't know. You
unless
write
they-
the lore.
Unless they existed in chaos before, right?
What came first, the giant or the egg? I mean, we just don't know.
Or we could have dragons. It could be a big blue dragon that rolls over the storm.
I've read
plane.
Fizzbands, guys. I know what came first.
Yeah.
It says so right there on the page.
Could be a chromatic great worm. And
I
it's-
mean, yeah.
And it's just blue.
Maybe the plane of storms is just ruled over by a great worm.
Yep.
Which is scary as hell, and I'm not going there.
And a storm giant rides the great worm.
Yes.
Can you
Tie 'em
imagine?
together.
What would the CR in
A
that
level 20 storm giant sorcerer rides the great worm.
be? Yeah?
Yeah.
That'd be like a what? I mean, that giant would probably be like what? CR 17, 18.
Yeah.
It'd be close to like
Yeah.
a storm giant quintessent.
Yeah.
And then you got CR 30 and Great Worm. So it's
Like a
pretty-
35.
Yeah, a well balanced encounter, truly.
I mean, level 20 adventurers can handle it easy, so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know.
There's
Listen,
only 2 of them.
If there are CR30 creatures and level 20 adventurers are meant to take down these CR30 creatures, you guys were fine fighting that Death Knight on Friday.
I feel like it's so situational, though. I feel like they have to have that +4 legendary weapon we were talking about. That,
Well, yeah.
You know, slays dragons in 2 hits. You know, like it's
You
super
gotta have your
situational.
dragon
You gotta get set
slaying
up.
+4 great sword.
Yeah, or you just need a few power gamers to sit down and say, how can I get these numbers higher?
Well, given it only has, what is it, 600 to 700 hit points?
It's nothing really.
That's like 6 turns for Oswin.
With those sharpshooter shots, hell yeah.
That would give you like 8 turns for Oswin if he hit every time.
Yeah, well, so you got to throw in your flame arrows.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get my arcane jolt going. I'll cast branding smite a few times.
And that's
have
what
to hit
bothers
every
me
shot.
about balancing things as a DM, because sometimes I could put one of those in front of you guys, and if you blow your loads properly and you have everything available, you might still win at your current level. Now, it's not likely based on AoEs and stuff, that damage that would happen to you, but given 10 good rounds where the system is totally cheesed, level 10 adventurers can do it.
Maybe.
There's a possibility there.
Yeah,
It's true.
It depends on what they're rocking. So
Or
like,
like the CR17, you're a group of level 10 adventurers, and it wasn't that bad when you guys were able to, get a little bit lucky. You barely lost anything in that fight.
true. And I'm imagining like a fight against a lich. I mean, liches have minions and things, so we won't just be fighting a lich in a vacuum. But
Right.
we've got 2 spellcasters cast and counterspell. What the hell can a lich do?
Right. I mean, exactly.
Pretty much nothing.
You
But
just have to
that's
fail the
the fun in it,
counterspell
though.
checks.
Yeah. Well,
And
one
he can re-counterspell you.
one power word kill gets out, but then
Ooh.
so lich casts the spell, Pyth counterspells, lich counterspells the counterspell, Hakili counterspells the counterspell.
Well,
still
and then
doesn't go
all
off.
of the Lich's minions counterspell as
Oh,
well.
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah,
Makes
well,
us all the minions
They
have
counterspell the Lich and then counterspell their own counterspell.
just for funsies.
yeah, well, so the lich gives out rings of spell storing to all of its goblin minions. So we're like,
That's
a bunch
actually
of
lit.
goblins. That's super easy. And then the goblins all cast counterspell.
I do like that.
Speaking of rings of spell storing, Seth, what's today's episode of Table Talk Friday?
Well,
about?
let me tell you, Zachary. Today's episode is going to be all about magic items. From your uncommon rings of protection all the way up to your +4 great swords that have no other special abilities. They're just a +4.
Just a +4.
But first, I want to check on my boys. Drew, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling wonderfully sick, doing great.
Same as last week, right?
Yep, 8 long rests deep. We're still pushing on.
I'm completely recovered. I have a slight cough every now and then, but I'm better.
And I'm miraculously not sick at all, and I'll remain to be not sick.
Wakes up tomorrow, tweets out,
You better
"Oh,
not.
I'm sick.
You
boys.
better do
No
not manifest
D&D
that.
for me this week."
No.
It could be that Zach's actually just a high-level monk, where he just resists all disease and poison.
No,
or a paladin.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, true.
You do not disgrace me by calling me a monk, good sir.
Of course not. Of course.
I lay on hands.
Please, I'm the monk here.
Yeah, please.
Gosh. I like Rogar. I miss Rogar, man.
Rogar was a great monk for one session.
Yeah.
I'll bring him back at some point, maybe.
But let's get into those magic items, boys. So we have a fair bit of experience with magic items, from ones that we've handcrafted ourselves all the way to ones that are in modules for us. Ones you're going to find in modules are typically ones you'll find in the DMG. So your very vanilla magic items that you'll see commonly everywhere. Things that your DM did not make up or did not find online. Something like a ring of protection, a +1 sword, a hat of disguise, the goggles of night. You know, these are going to be some of your base magic items you might just find that the module puts in there for you. And then we have our handcrafted magic items. Things like Newth's fiery glaive that I gave six charges, but he has to roll on a table to see what random effect he gets.
Which is super cool.
Yeah, something like Eknon's revolver bow that we had in Storm King's Thunder. So it was a bow that had different vials on it where you could store different poisons or effects or paralysis potions, things like that, and he would flip it as a bonus action and then fire an arrow to give it that effect. So we've seen all kinds of different magic items in our campaign, and then there's characters like the Artificer who are completely based around magic items and inventing. Zach, do you want to talk a little bit about, you know, some things that you've done with Oswin or some things that you can do with those classes?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, just right out of the gate with the Artificer, you've got your magical infusions, so you can create magic items. That you get however many per long rest that you can create, which gives you a lot of leeway right there, because you can be passing out these magic items not just to yourself but to other people. I believe the Forge Cleric has something too, where they can make like a +1 armor or weapon like that. But what's really cool about the Artificer, especially if your DM is really cool about it, is you can make your own magic items, and if you take the time and spend the resources, start making some handcrafted things for the rest of your party that everyone will enjoy. For example, you might give our squishy wizard a cloak that prevents certain amount of fire damage. You basically roll against the damage, almost like a deflect missiles, but for fire damage. So,
which is super cool.
Yeah, the cloak of the icy veil, or I've got specifically a shield that my Steel Defender uses. It's I know the Steel Defender is typically like an animal shaped thing, but the way we devised this one is like a humanoid shaped thing. So he holds this shield, and basically it doesn't protect him at all, but he uses it as a weapon stand for me to place my heavy crossbow down, so I can pivot with it, hold it in one hand, and then hold a shield in the other if I need to, or use my other hand for whatever else. Which, super awesome, super cool, just stuff that you can come up with. Oswin is a very optimized character based on sort of like the magic items that Seth and I have devised. And more to that point of coming up with custom magic items, I think it's just super cool for the Artificer to allow players at the table to come up with, well, DM, I really want this sort of thing. Okay, well then why don't you build it?
Yeah, then why don't you find the resources on your journey, and you guys as a collective use your individual skills to make it yourselves.
Yeah.
That's something you can do with magic items. Typically, whenever you're first getting into them, or especially when you're a newer player, you're just going to go off the magic items that you find, right? You're going to go off of what you found in that one dungeon, or you're playing Fandelver, and you go into you find a secret chest, and in it is a +1 sword named Talon, things like that that are just lying around. But once you become more experienced and versed in the balancing of magic items, you can spitball, you can come up with your own ideas, you can get creative with it. I, for instance, came up with a system for our characters where if they are creating a magic item and they spend a certain amount of time working on it every day or whatnot, I just give them a percentage of completion. So like, if Oswin has 2 hours in a night to work on something, I'll give him like 10% completion on his magic item. There is a system in the DMG. It costs a lot more to make the magic item there. It takes a lot more time, like 30 to 60 days. Most likely, you're not going to have 30 to 60 days in character in your sessions. So I did cut that time back a lot, especially given my players' vocations and such that they took up before they became adventurers. But yeah, just overall, I think that creating magic items and allowing yourselves to be creative at the table, once you've gotten a grasp of balancing and what abilities work, what abilities don't work, and especially what's going to give your player just a little uptick in power that they're going to use a lot, and what your player's never going to touch.
So I think that's really cool ruling, and I like the idea in any scenario of giving the players those secondary objectives, especially if they're very rewarding. So for anyone listening that might really like the idea of creating their own items, do you normally have Zach roll the night of when he's working on his items? Is it more of a kind of a guesstimation of how much percentage? I know back in Storm Kings you actually had him, I think when he was taming maybe a griffin or something, to a similar aspect, where you actually had him roll a d20, and then what he rolled went into the 100% completion.
So whenever he was taming, I had him roll for animal handling, because the griffin to me is a character. It's another person that's available. So he needs to roll to see his skills with this. Even though they're already kind of tame, he needs to like form a bond with it, right? Mm-hmm. For magic items, typically I set a time for Oswin. So if it's like 2 hours that he gets to work on it, he can get 10% more completion. If he has 4 hours plus, or like 3 or 4 hours plus, it's usually around 15. If he has a lot of extra time for some reason, like 8 hours, he can get up to 20. You know, so it's like he's really rushing to get that first 10%. But if he has more time, he's probably going to be more lax with it. He's going to run into some bumps that he didn't know he had before. And if someone else tries to add anything to that, it's going to be a lot less. Like Nuth tried to help out in the last session. He tried to add a little bit of extra stuff to the boots that Oswin's been working on. And I was like, well, Nuth, you work on it for 2 hours, but you don't get 10%, you get 5. So typically it is situational. If Oswin has some extra stuff or he adds flavor to it, maybe I'll add an extra couple of percent there. Like, oh, you know what, that was worth it. Here's 18% instead of 15, or something like that. Really, it's on the fly. But I do have, those numbers in mind whenever he's creating. And whenever he's creating something, he sends me a description of what it does, and I go, yep, that sounds cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much been it. I don't think we've. You said you wanted to tone back those boots, so we haven't. We haven't retooled those yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, there are plenty of ways to adjudicate that, though, for all the DMs watching. I feel like for the artificer, they do have built-in skills where at a certain level they just have expertise with all the tools that they're proficient with. So at that point, having them roll for smithing or whatever might be a moot point. But I do think for other characters, say I didn't create an artificer, but I'd still like to be able to create a spell scroll because I'm a wizard,
right,
or something like that. There are ways to figure that out as well. The DMG is a nice guide for those sorts of things, and they might have some alternate rules for magic item creation in Xanathar's too. But ultimately, I think it's more. It's better to tool it to your certain campaign. So in Descent into Avernus, we do not have a single solitary moment where Oswin can sit down for days on end to work.
He might get 2 hours in a long rest.
Yeah, but it's nice for our table to have that option there. So for this campaign, it works. For another campaign that I might be running, if Seth said, "Yeah, I'd like to create a magic item for Elijah," how do I do that? Okay, well, you guys are in between adventures, so maybe put 2 weeks towards it. Get these items, and we might role play some of it. Like, okay, well, you need something very specific to make this magical spear that you want. So we'll do the quest to get the special item, and then you need to put in the time to make it.
Yeah, like in a campaign like Storm King's Thunder, there's a lot of downtime in traveling. It's like, okay, we have a 2 weeks travel to go on, and a lot of times I would fast forward that. I wouldn't make you do a ton of stuff unless you did run into giants along the road or something. But if you're doing that, it's like, okay, well, now the timelines in the DMG make a lot of sense. It takes 60 days to make this ring of protection that I want to make. So I'm going to spend that time and actually take 60 days to do it, and I get a couple hours a day to do that. Well, yes, in Descent into Avernus, I consider Osmond's an expert at doing this, and he has help from his friends and very potent magic items that you've gotten from people and things. So why not come up with a different system for it? But I did want to say that artificers are not the only inventors in the game. Skilled wizards can make magic items. And you don't even have to have a proficiency with a tool for me to allow you to do so, as long as you can justify how you're going to make your item. So even someone like Newt, who is just a leather worker, I would totally allow him if he wanted to say he was, carving runes into something and creating a cool magic item for the party, or like for himself. I would totally allow him to start working on something like that, because even though he is just a rune fighter, a rune knight, so even though he's just a rune knight, which is a subclass of a fighter, he can justify to me why he would know how to do that, because he knows what the giant runes correspond to, and that and he's a leather worker, so he could make something out of, say, if you use the Displacer Beast cloak, if he wanted to make leather out of that, make a breastplate and start carving giant runes into it, he could totally do so.
Yeah, for sure.
I think a big thing that goes into it is, however you may rule it as a DM, do keep your players in mind. Sometimes you might need to know your players, how they're going to use those magic items, or what kind of magic items they're going to make. For me, in the past, I have misjudged and allowed my players to have some things that maybe they shouldn't have had with their personalities. I recall a time, I'll call him Barbarian Eric, where I created these...
Please, sorry to interrupt. It's barbaric.
I was literally about to say that, dude.
Of course. Back in the day when I was running with Barbaric, I had created these elemental orbs, and you buy them for a couple $100 gold apiece. And when you use them, depending on what element they were, you could create something of that element. So if you had a fire one, you could create basically a similar effect as to a fireball, but it would be more, not damage-based, but more so for utility. And the one they had purchased that they liked was the green orb, which was nature. And so I imagined that this orb, all you had to do was wet it, and you could grow a large plant, like a tree, right? So I imagined, maybe they'd use it to throw it on the ground, and they'd climb up a tree and get over a wall or something. My players actually swallowed it. And and it worked out. It worked out okay. No one died.
What do you mean? They're full of water!
I am water! Well, when Barbaric had said it, I said, he caught me totally by surprise. I said, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And he saw a look at my face and said, well, no. And he took it out of his mouth, and a tree grew in the middle of the street. To which case, that was an interesting scenario. But, all wrapped up in one.
I would have let him swallow it, dude. I would have let him swallow it.
It caught me off. I didn't expect him to eat the tree. I didn't think he was going to do it.
If I was... So, I want to go over... Not that anything you did was wrong. If I was DMing on the fly, he would... I think I'd give him bark skin, but his armor doesn't work.
No, you know what? I would have set a DC. I'd say, all right, make a con save.
Yeah.
It's going to be really high because a tree is trying to grow inside of your stomach right now. If you pass that, then yeah, I'd do like bark skin.
I'd be like, you have bark skin, but you outgrow your armor. You push it and it breaks through, and now you have a permanent, oaken skin.
That would have been super
flesh
cool.
Or something.
And I wish I had thought of it at the time.
That is.
That's what it's called, Skyrim, yeah.
I think it was one of those items where they showed up at a magic shop. I didn't expect them to go to the shop. It was like, oh yeah, we have these items. Let me go check in the back. And I threw something together really quick.
Oh, jeez. No, I would have just said, DMG, they're 5th level. Okay, here's a +1 sword. Have a nice day.
Speaking of magic item shops, now, not every campaign is going to have an inventor in the party. A lot of times there is a character who is interested in that. Maybe you're a more steampunky kind of character that would be interested in crafting handmade items for the party. Not every party's going to be like that. I know we all feel differently about vendors being available in our campaigns. I actually do prefer to have a couple of magic, quote-unquote, magic item shops. Places where people would realistically have things like this. A place where you could find, a jeweler that happens to have a couple Ring of Resistances and Rings of Protection available. Usually not more than that. Maybe an adventurer sold her a necklace of fireballs as a spectacle or something like that. Or a piece of jewelry that I made up myself. Some sort of like tiara, a circlet of blasting. Just general magic items and such. But I don't prefer to have the all-in-one package where you can buy anything you want. You have to find these places. They're not super common unless you're in Waterdeep. In Waterdeep, I say you can find pretty much whatever you want as long as you search really, really hard. Sometimes you have to go to the black market. You have to talk to the Zentarim to find it. And you have to make deals with people you don't want to. Other times, you can head down Troll Skull Alley and you can literally talk to the librarian at one of the shops who has magic item who has spell books available for you to copy down spells to. So I think that they can be played in different ways. I like the librarian aspect that they have, and that's an NPC from Dragon Heist, by the way. He's literally a guy. He sells books. He has his own like little library, and he has collected spell books over time. And wizards can pay to have a certain amount of time with said spell books to copy spells down. Very cool concept. I love it. And then while you have like your smiths and stuff, you might have a couple of +1 items available there, but nothing uber powerful unless it's been their life's work. It's their family heirloom, really. If you're gonna find something like that, you got to go kill a dragon for it.
And I think a big part of the magic shops is you don't have to give them all those options. You know, you can definitely give them that heirloom. But what I like to do is more so lean into the crafting idea, where if they can come to this magic shop and give them an idea, and they'll give them an evaluation of what that might cost. Mm-hmm. So otherwise, my magic shops might not, they're not going to have a Volper, what's it called? Volper sword, where it could decap people. Vorpal sword.
Jeez.
It's not going to have a Vorpal sword.
Drew doesn't know anything!
I don't know!
Have you ever read Alice in Wonderland? Neither have I, but that's what it's referencing.
but yeah, in these shops, I'm not selling the Vorpal swords or anything crazy, but,
Sunblade.
Yeah, no Sunblades per se, unless they go to a very specific shop and travel across the plains to get to it. Sure, and they've been saving, why not? But more so, I want them to create things or buy some different utility things that are a little more cheap, and allow them to utilize some of their gold resources that they got from a dragon horde or something along the way.
For sure. My personal take, since we're all giving ours on magic shops, I think it's got to fit the setting, and even then, I'm not gonna give my players access to anything more than like maybe a rare magic item at a shop. I think magic items are a lot more satisfying to plunder from big adventures. Not necessarily even from, the bad guy had a +3 sword and now you get his +3 sword. Though that would be very satisfying in that case. But, going on an adventure and finding the hidden glade where there's this, magical pool that you dip your toe in, and then all of a sudden, oh, my boots, allow me to walk on water, something like that.
That's cool.
I think just more organic ways to fit magic items into your game, besides saying, well, you've got all this gold, so we got to spend it somehow, I think is a little more exciting.
Another thing I actually really like is whenever your party finds characters that they can then ask, to use their large amounts of money, say, I'd like you to make me something kind of like this, and then hand it to them, and now the DM has a free open reign to make something, and they just kind of have to be okay with it because they spent their hard-earned money on it. For instance, I like having a couple of characters that they meet along the way that have a little bit of personality. Like, you guys met in Storm King's Thunder. I wrote in Everland, Verena. So, Verena was a crafter. It's her whole life's work. She makes these specific magic items. A lot of times people would come and procure her services, and she would spend time on that, and then she had her own personal projects. So you guys got there, and she had an arrow-catching shield available, for instance. And it's like, yeah, this is something I made because I wanted to make sure I remembered how to do it. Do any of you want to buy it? And then she has the things that I was like, I've kind of got an idea for this item, but so Verena was like a DM character for me. She was kind of like who I was because I was thinking about these items. And so I was like, I've got this great idea for a lightsaber to put in D&D. And I described this sword that has a small piece of metal that goes up to the other side, and it like casts electricity to the other end, and it looks pretty identical to a lightsaber, save for the piece of metal that goes all the way around, and you could cut things with it. And I had a great idea for it, but I was like, this is not a finished magic item. So Farina had not finished it. She was like, it'll probably cost around here when I'm done. I'm not really done, though. So if you want it now, you can take it like this. But it literally was just going to be like, okay, well, it's a long sword, but it does lightning damage instead. Like, that's all I could really do at that point.
No, I think it was a cool starting point for sure.
Yeah, and so Farina was like the character I would put magic items to and be like, this is what Farina's working on. Because those were things that were in my head that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Likewise, there's a city in Forgotten Realms called Gauntlgrim, where their whole trade is crafting. Like, what dwarves do there, it's a dwarven city, it's in the side of a mountain. Think, whatever the dwarven city's name is that's in World of Warcraft, where you literally fly into the side of a mountain, and you've got just tons of shops and stuff to do. It's the exact same thing. So, you go to Gauntlgrim, you're going there for the mines and the magic items. So, Beryl, from Beryl and the Giant's Bane, Storm King's Thunder, he went to Gauntlgrim just to procure services to take his dragon scales to and be like, hey, make me something, and hand it to these master craftsmen here at their giant forge. And later down the line, he did end up getting a magic item in return, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was studded leather that gives you lightning resistance or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a plus something studded leather that gives you lightning resistance. And
I think someone along the line, too, also got some dragon armor as well, but there's some scales or something?
No, that's the same thing.
Oh,
yeah,
the same one.
yeah.
Okay,
Beryl ended up like buying that and procuring Gauntlgrim's services until it was done. And even while he was there, remember, he got smithing training. We had a whole half of a session where Beryl just went to Gauntlgrim and was like, I want to learn how to do this. And they were like, all right. And then we were like, and 2 weeks pass. And you get here, and Beryl's been slaving away at this rusty sword for 2 weeks. All he knows is he has like half proficiency in in smithing. He didn't even have proficiency. I just had him roll, and he was like, can I make a sword in these 2 weeks? And I said, it's going to be a shit sword. And he goes, oh, yeah.
But it was the best sword, though.
And then he instantly mailed it.
Yep. And then teleported to the person it was going to.
Yeah.
To check up if they got it yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you mail a sword in those days? Do you like wrap it in a sack and then?
I almost imagined it was like whenever you get something from Amazon and you want it gift wrapped and it's just in wrapping paper. I almost imagine he like took parchment and wrapped it up and goes, sword, gift, writes a name on it and sends it.
Yeah. I imagine it's got to be like Harry Potter where they've got the brooms wrapped up in, like parchment paper.
Yeah.
But you give it to an owl, not to a guy.
Whatever.
I just like the idea in the movies, like when a squire is giving a knight his sword, he gets on one knee and holds it up with both hands, but they do that the entire way. They just kind of like carry it very carefully.
I have to hold this in 2 hands. It's a sword befitting that respect.
It's like the express shipping, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you pay a little extra for them to bestow it on the whole 50-mile journey or whatever it was.
I think it'd be a good idea.
So, I do like giving them options to procure magic items from masters, like put a couple of masters or even just apprentices who are interested in trying to craft something. They're like, hey, this is going to take me 3 months. I know you're going to be traveling for a while. Come back at that time and I'll have something for you. I love having that in games. Just like, you can expect something down the line, but when you're 3 levels higher, you know?
It gives people something to look forward to that's not the next quest.
Yeah, exactly. Some of our best RP interactions have come from magic items, like just procuring them again, such as, Grandine's Magnificent Marvels. We've talked about her before. We've told stories, just the absolute screaming matches that would happen at the table. I made her start, like, after she met Beryl, started working on her own little things, like her Ring of Truth, the Zone of Truth ring.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
There was a lot of cool things like that that come from those. But that is another option if your party's not interested or they're not creative enough to make their own magic items.
Yep.
I think as a total side, just sort of a funny situation, if the party can't, let's say, pay for the big magic items, I like the idea that the adventure party goes around back of the magic shop and like goes dumpster diving for like the broken ones in the back. So they get some wands that just don't work right. You got to roll on like the wild magic table and random things happen.
It's like a wand of secrets, but after 3 charges, it breaks.
Just explodes. Yeah. Just explodes in your hand. I think that would be hysterical.
Yeah.
Little side quest, or even just a little side money. You know, you start selling some broken magic items on the street. Like, hey, what does it do? I don't know.
Oh yeah, like you have them actually find a black market, but it's all the offshoot magic items that no one wants.
Yeah. A wand of finding, it lights up really bright so that you can find it easy, or it vibrates.
Or a wand of finding, which literally it's just a bright light and an alarm, and it tells everybody where you are.
That's a good idea. But then you have to give them a good name too. You have to like really lead them on, like it's this really good item, but then it's not.
How do you guys feel about magic items and things that like let you cast things at will? So, for instance, a hat of disguise. Do you have to cast disguise self when you do that, or does it let you like at will, things that I don't know how to put it, but
would you have to keep casting it?
Yeah,
over
like
and over?
Do you have to cast disguise self every hour? Because for me, whenever it says at will, I just let you do it. Like for my character, for the Christmas one-off that we're doing. He can do mage armor at will. You can have me cast mage armor if you like, but to me, he just always has it up. You know, until he wills it down, it's up. Same for disguise self for me. I feel like if someone has the hat of disguise, which like Patrick does right now, he can disguise himself, and if he wants to change himself on the fly, he just kind of can because he's allowed to. If he's doing it mid-combat, that's a little bit different. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have you do an action to concentrate and change your form. But if he's in RP and he's like, I'd like to change my form to this, I'll go, okay. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine. If it's something you can do at will or something you could passively do whenever you want. It kind of makes me think of Eldritch Invocations. Or even things you just trust your players with, like eating. You don't have to tell me that you ate, but, burn your ration.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big deal.
Something we've been really good about in Descent into Avernus.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I've definitely been keeping track of my rations.
Did you guys catch the comment I made as Lulu?
We had that rank in a while?
Yeah, I was like, you guys were talking about rations in character, and I was like, I haven't had water in weeks. I got myself with that where I was like, it would be so stupid if she said that.
I could tell.
I imagine we all look at each other after she says that, and we just slowly glance over at the demonicker, like, how bad could it be, really? It's a little sip, a little finger dip kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't tasted anything except for my own blood in weeks. So I guess, how bad could it really be?
You guys have talked to allies in this time. Maybe they gave you stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think... Does Lulu have to eat and drink? Because she is a...
I don't think so. She's a celestial.
Yeah, I don't think they have to eat and drink.
No, Lulu's been casting create and food and drink this whole time.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. That's something I mentioned at some point, probably.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she can cast it, because that's how we've been surviving this long.
Yeah, of course.
We need more magic items that make food
Magic
for us.
items?
Magic items.
Speaking of magic items, there's one thing that I want to talk about, and, not to put you guys on the spot, but I've got some magic items that I've wanted ever since I saw them in the DMG. Like, you know what? One day I'm going to have a character, and I'm going to have this magic item. I'm curious, and I can go first to give you guys some time.
Please.
But what your thoughts are. So, for me, absolutely, we mentioned it already this episode, but the Sunblade, which is just a lightsaber. It's just a lightsaber in D&D. It does radiant damage, but it's a hilt. A laser sword comes out of it. It's +2. It does extra damage against undead. Ooh, that'd be so good. or like a Holy Avenger, which is just like a more powerful holy sword. Super cool. I'd really love. So like my top pick, I think though. So the Staff of Power is super cool. The way that it's flavored, it can cast a bunch of spells. And it's got that feature where if you break it, it explodes in just like a whole bunch of damage. I'm imagining like a fight against the final boss, or maybe like midway through the campaign, you've got a powerful wizard who has this staff, and then to hold off the Balrog at the bridge, they break it over their knee and send the Balrog careening down into the pit, something like that. So Staff of Power, super cool. But I'd love a Dwarven Thrower. That's my
I knew
big
you were
one.
going to say Dwarven Thrower.
Uh-huh.
I knew you were going to say that because I look at that thing and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I would love that.
It's Mjolnir. But
quite literally.
But nothing really. I mean, so in the DMG, they say you have to be a dwarf to attune to it. I'd say fuck that if I'm including this sort of magic item in my campaign. And there's a player that really wants it, I'd say, well, okay, made by dwarves, fun for the whole family.
I have always wanted a couple of different things. Like, I don't get to play that often, so I never really get to build up my magic items. I usually have very little experience with them.
Right.
I've always wanted an animated shield. So, a shield that just literally protects me. I don't have to do shit. It just does everything for me. You know, my mage can have it. I've always wanted to have the most powerful mage I could possibly be. So, have like a robe of the Archmagi with a rod of lordly might as a blade singer. And then an animated shield along with that. It's like, oh, I'm like a 28, 29 AC blade singer, and then I cast shield. You know? It's like, hey, does 30 hit you? And the blade singer just fucking looks at you like, did you really just ask me that?
Do you think it hits me?
Do you think it hits me? You have to roll a nat 20 to hit me, idiot.
Oh my god. Only imagine.
So I've always wanted to play just the absolute craziest mage I could possibly be. Ring of Invisibility would be super fun, just being able to cast invisibility at will.
Yeah.
Because to me it's like, okay, in combat I can cast invisibility as an action whenever I want, or outside of combat, I'm just always invisible. It doesn't matter. I don't have a ton of other things other than that. The most powerful things I can think of that I would like is like, oh, I'd love a +3 ring of protection. That would be nice. +3 to all my saves and then +3 to AC.
Yeah.
Fine.
Even before you get to the AC, the +3 to all saves is worth it right there. That's
so
cool.
Yeah. I mean, how do you not take that?
Imagine a paladin, maxed out charisma, and then that... Which we've had in a couple campaigns now, with a paladin with +6 charisma and their aura of whatever it is, aura of protection, where you get plus however much their charisma mod is to all of your saves if you're within 10 feet of them.
Yeah.
That's so
the whole party always makes their checks.
I usually come up with my own magic items that I'd like in the long run. For instance, I'm about to get to use my favorite magic item I've ever come up with, which is the glider that I made for the Christmas one-off. Let me just describe this baby to you guys. I'm so excited. It's got a 30-foot flying speed, unless I cast fly on it, and then it goes up to 60-foot. So, I mean, as if you were regularly flying, but it's cool that you can infuse magic into it to speed it up.
Yeah.
So it just flies at 30 feet, my normal walking speed. It's also a level 3 ring of spell storing, so it's got 3 levels in it. It's not as strong as a regular spell storing ring, which is 5. But I stored 3 shields in this baby, so whenever I want to react, it just pops up a force field. I am good. And also it's also was it an extra to my focus or something? It was like
it was
a +1.
+1, yes.
+1 focus. So it's got all of that going for it. And I basically created a Green Goblin Halloween themed character. So he's got a pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern over his head. His name is Jack of Lantern. He wears a long black robe, and he carries, I believe it's going to be Santa's naughty list or his nice list. He's going to be carrying a forged copy of Santa's list with him as his spell book. And so he's a scribe wizard. He uses this thing and animates it. It's going to be a really cool character to play. I can't wait to do it. But yeah, that glider is one of my dream items where I'm I can fly. I have a cup. It does. It gives my AC up because it's got 3 shields in it whenever I want. So I've just got 3 free shields whenever I want them. And then it's got the +1 shields and the fly speed. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's got all of those things. It's gonna be a fun magic item, and I made it up all by myself. And it's like a skateboard in the sky.
A skateboard in the sky.
I mean, think of it like Goblin's glider from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. That's more of what I'm trying to go for here.
When you say there's shields in it, I imagine that like a spell or a missile's coming at you. You click the button right by your foot, and it just shoots a little missile and blows up whatever's coming at you.
Here's my thought is that my feet can actually rotate on a swivel. And so whenever I need to do a reaction or use the spell storing, or the spells that I've stored in, which are always going to be shields or mirror images, I can turn on my heel, turn 1 foot to the right, and boom, one of them is used, and it either creates a force field around me, or like you said, it opens up, fires out a thing to which I cast from, and cast a shield and deflect it. So that would be kind of my preference. Is it fires up in the air, and then I like grab it and then like deflect it myself, like re-hone it.
That's gonna be really cool.
I'm super excited for it. He's the most supervillain character I've ever played, and
Probably
I cannot.
the only supervillain character you've ever played.
Yeah, so I cannot wait. It's my second wizard.
I feel like you guys have really thought about this, like all these magic items you want in the long run. I've never really given too much thought about a specific thing that I've wanted or a specific magic item build per se, but I've been toying with a magic sling right now, just because I do play an actual spell slinger in a burnish right now, where I literally have a sling, I put magic into it, and I throw it at people, which I really dig. So I like the idea of this magic sling. I've been toying with it a little bit, and I like the idea that it has two modes. It has like an attack mode and a defense mode. So if I have it actively in use, maybe I get some sort of advantage with my attacks. Not an actual advantage roll per se, but something that would help me on the offensive. And then if I put it in defense mode, I'd wrap it around my arm, and a little bit of a magical aura hum would kind of start wrapping around, and maybe it would give me, I don't know, like advantage on my concentration checks to keep my spells up, or maybe it would prevent people from having advantage on saving throws against spells I cast, or something like that.
I got a great idea. So imagine this thing. It's like a +2 when you have it in attack mode, and maybe it does a little bit of extra elemental damage depending on what element you cast.
Okay.
Or maybe one or the other of those. And then when you switch modes, it's dormant on your side, or like you've slung it over your shoulder, or you're just holding it in one hand and doing something else, like casting different spells. The second a spell is fired at you or a projectile is fired, it fucking whips and grabs it. And you can either like use that to do like an absorb elements to an attack, or deflect missiles type ability. So the sling actually becomes like sentient, and the second something is like fired at you or directed towards you, it just whips and grabs it itself.
So almost like an animated shield, but an animated sling.
Yes,
That would be really cool. So like maybe it's a limited version of spell storing. So like you catch it, and then you can cast that spell back the next turn.
Oh, like an arcane trickster stealing spells.
If that element is cast towards you and you have a spell of that element available, if you cast it back, it does extra damage, or it does the damage that other spell would have done.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, they cast a fireball at you, you catch it and cast an Agonizer Scorcher back, and it adds some of the fireball damage, like half of it.
Heck yeah.
That would be super cool.
I feel like magic items get really tricky when you get into items for casters, just because there's so much more it can do. When you think of a barbarian, or maybe like a fighter, they're going to have, an upscaled sword, +1/+2, maybe just some extra damage, something like that.
Might, man.
Exactly. But when you get to wizards, it's like, okay, you can have a magic sling that does all this, or you can have anything having to do with magic because you're magic-based. It just gets so much harder, you have to think about it for so much longer.
Well, I'd say that's a lack of creativity, because imagine a fighter with an immovable rod who, as the offensive line is coming towards them, they click the rod, step back a couple feet, and then they get clotheslined in the face.
So you guys fought Gorgons recently in Avernus. Imagine that thing charging Nuth, and instead of fighting it, he readies an attack, or he readies himself right before his turn to like place the immovable rod in front of the Gorgon as it charges him and goes to gore him. Ooh. He places it, it slams full speed into it, and then he gets his round of attacks. I mean, that would be so cool. Or he has to use one of his attacks for that, and then the rest he can do. But it stops in its tracks, deals some bludgeoning damage as it slams its face into this thing, and then Nuth also gets to attack. Yeah, I mean, you can get super creative with any magic item.
I like the idea that you're on a war machine, or an active vehicle in D&D, and then you're on the back of it, but you want to stop it, so you slam it down, click it, and jump off as this thing just flips because it can't get through the rod. That would be so cool.
Heck yeah.
It depends on the war machine, because some of them might have enough force to push it.
That's true. It's true. Oh man. Oh, it's giving me some ideas now.
A movable rod is a cool creative magic item.
Or sovereign glue that we're definitely going to use to glue Zariel's face to the ground.
To her hand.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Nuth grapples her and puts the hand there and glues her face to it. She's like,
that would be. Can you imagine having
to be you.
anything sovereign glued to anything in your life? That would suck.
Yeah.
It would be awful.
One last thing before we end. What do you guys think about? So, some magic items you have to attune to, some you do not. We haven't talked about that at all. Most characters are limited to 3 attunement slots. How many non-attuned magic items do you feel should be added into a game? I usually add a couple, but if you hand your characters just a shit ton of stuff that's like, oh, you can cast invisibility with this once a day. Also, you can do this once a day with this, but you don't have to attune to it. I do think it can become overwhelming and a little OP for them if you give them a ton of stuff that's just like, anybody can use this. Here, catch the knife of invisibility. I caught it. I'm invisible now.
Yeah, well, and we were doing some of that at the end of Storm Kings.
Yeah.
We had just so many magic items. And we're getting there, too, in Avernus, I'll say, because we've got, like the Quiver of Alana and the Bag of Holding and just a bunch of stuff. But I'll say that magic items that don't require attunement, I think just if you're, thinking about making them or you're just looking at them in the DMG, they're usually a lot less powerful. And I'd say most often than not, you need to be attuned to a magic item in order to cast a spell from it or something like that. That's the balance there. My alternate thought is if I want to give my players an extra power boost, and they're just maxed out on attunement slots, but I've got a cool idea, I might get creative with it as a DM and say, okay, well, maybe you don't get a magic item, but you get an epic boon, or you get, some charm or some special effect on you. That isn't necessarily a magic item to add to that. Because I do think 3 is kind of arbitrary, but the fact that the artificer can get 4, 5, and then 6 attunement slots is
so cool.
It's exciting for me, having just gotten my 4th slot, and will continue to grow, I think.
Till you die, of course.
Yeah, well, that'll be next session when we get the Sword of
Don't put it in
Zarya.
the universe. Take it back.
Yeah. No, it's okay, because we'll just cast Oh, wait. I'm the only one who can cast Revivify. It'll happen again!
I think the quantity of all the magic items you put in your game really depends on the table. I think it's just a situation by situation basis. Most of the players I've run for, if I gave them 20 magic items, they only remember to use 3 of them.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the time you get to the end of the campaign, you have a whole bunch of stuff in the bag of holding you've never touched, you totally forgot about, never used. So for me, I've never really worried about it too much, because if I give them some stuff, they'll just forget about it anyway. But, if you have a table where your players take advantage of everything they're given and use all of them, maybe hold back a little bit.
Yeah, you guys take advantage of a lot of stuff that you're given, but at the same time, I pretty much change every encounter based on how powerful I think you guys are. Whether I'm like, oh, I want this to kind of be a random encounter so they can just steamroll it, but we're gonna do it anyways because it would be a fun thing for them to do. Or encounters that I come up with on the fly that it's like, oh, this is supposed to be pretty hard. Let's just see how it goes. This will be good before they get to the boss fight later. That's not as hard as this one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll add things like that in, or I'll remap an entire encounter. You guys are supposed to be a little bit higher level in Avernus right now, and I'm like, they're too strong. They're gonna, so I'm not gonna level them all the way up. And also, I'd like the rest of the campaign after Avernus to be satisfying to level 20, and only having 7 levels left to work with in that time doesn't sound very fun to me. Because if you guys got to 100 sessions and every 10 sessions you've been leveling up, wouldn't really be that satisfying, right? You guys would be asking me every time, so we level up, right? And I'd be like, no, you don't, because we have to go 10 sessions without leveling up to make sure we make it to 20.
So I agree with you 100%, but I'm a wizard, and so I may not live to see the next session. So the quicker I level up, the better I am off.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that.
You should just level me up.
Maybe you should just take the tough feat.
No, I couldn't possibly do that.
Because that's what I did as my supervillain.
Yeah, but I prefer handouts, though. So I was kind of hoping I would just get some free stuff. It would help out.
Well, why don't you just keep dying and have Osmond revivify? Oh, wait, what if he dies?
Yeah. Oh, no.
So about that simulacrum I was talking about, Seth.
Thank you guys so much for joining us in the Magic Items episode of Table Talk Friday. We will be back next week. This week is Thanksgiving for us, so everyone have a good one out there. Stay safe during the holidays if you're traveling, and email us at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. We want inquiries, we want questions, we want concerns and comments, and tell us how great we are, please. I would just like some reassurance that I'm doing a good job.
Or how bad, honestly.
I mean, yeah, you can do that, but then I'm going to delete it, so...
Just let us know how bad Zach and Seth are.
Anyways, we would love any of your crazy D&D stories because we can use them ourselves in our future storytime episodes or whenever we just feel like talking about them. Like, oh my gosh, did you see how this person got thrown off of a sky tower? Insane, guys, right?
Oh.
You see how this dragon flipped over while someone was on its back? That's awesome,
Whoa.
right? So we'd love to hear some cool stories like that. But anyways, I don't think it's my turn to talk anymore. Character, why don't you take us out?
Not again, no!
Hello, it's Agnon Greylock here. Thank you for listening to Table Talk Friday. For more adventures, check us out at your favorite podcast service. If you have any questions about our travels, please write us a magic letter at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. Otherwise, stop by next Friday for our next episode. Enjoy.